Imagine a time when every step outside could mean life or death. A world where survival depended on a delicate balance of caution, ingenuity, and sheer luck. This was the unforgiving reality faced by Homo habilis, an early ancestor of modern humans whose existence was as remarkable as it was precarious. Living between 2.4 and 1.4 million years ago in eastern southern Africa, their lives were a ceaseless struggle to outwit predators, adapt to shifting climates, and secure enough food to last another day. Their average life expectancy, just 12 years, reflects the grueling conditions they endured and the constant threats they faced. Physically, Homo habilis was ill-equipped for the challenges of their environment. Averaging about 1.2 meters, 4 feet in height, and weighing between 30 and 40 kilograms, 66-88 pounds, they were small and relatively weak compared to the predators that stalked them. Their skeletal remains reveal a build that was less robust than later species like Homo erectus, making them vulnerable to attack. Yet despite their physical limitations, they displayed an uncanny ability to persist. It wasn't brute strength that ensured their survival, but rather their capacity to adapt and innovate. Predators of the era included some of the most terrifying creatures to have ever walked the earth. Saber-toothed cats with bone-crushing jaws, crocodiles capable of dragging them into murky waters, and packs of giant hyenas were just some of the threats lurking in the shadows. The vulnerability of Homo habilis was compounded by their position as scavengers. Unable to hunt large prey themselves, they often relied on picking over the remains left behind by larger predators, putting them in direct competition with these apex hunters. The act of scavenging was a perilous gamble. One misstep could result in becoming the hunted rather than the scavenger. Adding to their challenges were the shifting climates of the Pleistocene epoch. Periods of extreme drought would turn lush landscapes into arid wastelands, while sudden downpours could make rivers impassable and habitats uninhabitable. These environmental changes forced Homo habilis to migrate frequently in search of resources, exposing them to new predators and unfamiliar dangers. They lived on the knife's edge of survival, where a single poor decision could mean the end for an individual or even an entire group. Despite these obstacles, Homo habilis demonstrated remarkable ingenuity. Their nickname, Handy Man, reflects their ability to create simple tools from stone, which they used to cut meat, crack bones for marrow, and fashion rudimentary defenses. These tools, though primitive, marked the beginning of technological innovation in human history and gave them a slight edge in their brutal environment. The story of Homo habilis is not one of triumph over nature, but of persistence within it. They were not the apex predators of their time, nor did they possess the physical prowess to dominate their surroundings. Yet, through their resourcefulness and resilience, they managed to carve out a fragile existence in one of the most hostile eras of Earth's history. Their struggle for survival laid the groundwork for future human species, proving that endurance and adaptability could prevail where strength alone could not. Their legacy is a sobering reminder of how far we've come and how much we owe to those who endured before us. The physical characteristics of Homo habilis tell a story of both limitation and adaptation. Standing at an average height of around 4 feet, 1.2 meters, and weighing between 66 and 88 pounds, 30 to 40 kilograms, they were diminutive compared to many of the predators and even other hominin species that shared their environment. Their relatively lightweight frames and slender builds, while sufficient for basic mobility, offered little in terms of physical defense. These features made them inherently vulnerable, a fact underscored by fossil evidence showing frequent injuries likely sustained during encounters with predators or accidents in their rugged habitats. Unlike later human ancestors, Homo habilis lacked robust skeletal structures. Their bones were lighter and less dense, which made them more susceptible to fractures and other injuries. These physical shortcomings were compounded by a lack of powerful musculature, reducing their ability to flee from danger quickly or engage in effective combat when threatened. They existed in a world where size and strength often determined survival, and in these respects, Homo habilis were at a clear disadvantage. However, their frailty also came with unexpected advantages. Their lighter bodies may have allowed for greater agility, enabling them to navigate dense vegetation, climb trees for safety, or scavenge food in environments inaccessible to bulkier predators. This physical adaptability was likely crucial for their survival in ecosystems teeming with threats. Despite their small stature, the cranial features of Homo habilis hinted at a significant evolutionary development. A relatively larger brain compared to earlier hominins. This increase in brain size, averaging about 510 to 600 cubic centimeters, suggests that cognitive abilities were becoming a more critical tool for survival than physical strength alone. While their fragile bodies could not always protect them, their growing intelligence allowed them to anticipate danger, devise strategies, and use tools to compensate for their physical shortcomings. Their hands, while not as dexterous as modern humans, were uniquely adapted for basic manipulation. The structure of their fingers suggests a capability for precision gripping, which they likely used to craft and handle tools. These tools, often made from stone, were rudimentary, but represented a monumental leap in the survival toolkit of early humans. Sharp-edged rocks were used to process meat, break open bones for nutrient-rich marrow, and perhaps even defend against smaller predators. This ingenuity provided a lifeline in a world where brute force alone could not ensure survival. The environment was merciless, and their bodies bore the marks of a harsh existence. Fossilized remains often show signs of wear and tear, joint damage from constant physical activity, stress fractures from falls, and even evidence of infections. Dental analysis reveals that many suffered from significant tooth wear and gum disease, a consequence of their tough, abrasive diet. These conditions would have further weakened individuals, limiting their ability to gather food, move efficiently, or escape predators. In the grand scheme of evolution, Homo habilis embodied a delicate balance of vulnerability and resilience. Their physical form, while seemingly inadequate in a brutal world, forced them to adapt in other ways. They became problem solvers, tool makers, and opportunistic survivors. Although their bodies may have been fragile, their ability to persist against overwhelming odds underscores their critical role in the evolutionary story. Their legacy is not one of physical dominance, but of ingenuity and determination, qualities that would later define the human species. The environment of Homo habilis was teeming with predators that placed them at the constant risk of attack. Saber-toothed cats like Dinophilis were apex hunters, capable of delivering fatal blows with their powerful jaws and dagger-like canines. These predators roamed the same landscapes as Homo habilis, preying on creatures large and small. Their stealth and strength made them a significant threat, especially when early humans ventured into open spaces to forage or travel. Hyenas of the time were far more formidable than their modern descendants. Known as Pachycracuta brevirostris, these massive carnivores hunted in coordinated packs and could overpower prey many times their size. For Homo habilis, encountering a pack of these predators often meant certain death. Their scavenging habits also brought them into direct competition with these hyenas, increasing the likelihood of dangerous confrontations over carcasses. Large crocodiles lurking in rivers and waterholes presented another deadly hazard. These ambush predators would strike without warning, using their immense strength to drag unsuspecting victims into the water. Fossil evidence shows that many early humans fell victim to crocodiles, as bite marks on bones reveal the horrifying aftermath of these attacks. For Homo habilis, gathering water or crossing rivers was an exercise in calculated risk. Even the skies were not entirely safe. Large birds of prey, such as eagles, could target juvenile Homo habilis, swooping down to carry them off. This aerial threat added another dimension to the constant vigilance required for survival. The vulnerability of their young meant that adults needed to be perpetually alert, further straining their already limited energy resources. Despite these overwhelming threats, Homo habilis developed strategies to navigate this predator-filled world. They relied on their ability to climb trees, a skill inherited from earlier ancestors, to escape ground-based threats. They likely sought refuge in groups, as there is safety in numbers, and used simple tools to create defensive barriers or distractions. While these efforts were not always successful, they demonstrated the ingenuity that allowed Homo habilis to endure. Food was both a necessity and a peril for Homo habilis. As scavengers, they relied heavily on finding and consuming the remains of kills left behind by larger predators. These scavenged meals, though life-sustaining, brought them into conflict with territorial hunters unwilling to share their bounty. Approaching a predator's kill required timing and stealth, and even then, the risk of injury or death was significant. The reliance on meat, whether freshly scavenged or hunted from small animals, was vital for their survival. Protein and fats provided the energy needed to sustain their physically demanding lives and fuel the growth of their relatively larger brains. However, obtaining meat often came at great personal risk. Predators guarded their kills fiercely, and scavenging required Homo habilis to approach the carcass only after determining that it was safe, or in desperation, before the predators returned. Their diet also included tough plant materials such as seeds, roots, and fibrous fruits. While these foods offered some nutritional benefits, they were difficult to digest and wore down teeth over time. Fossil evidence of Homo habilis teeth shows significant wear and damage, including cavities, fractures, and gum disease. These dental issues would have made eating painful and contributed to their relatively short lifespans. Competition for food extended beyond predators. Other scavengers, such as vultures, jackals, and even rival hominins, also sought the same resources. This rivalry intensified during times of scarcity, forcing Homo habilis to compete not just with animals, but also with their closest evolutionary relatives. Securing food became a test of both strategy and resilience, where success was far from guaranteed. Despite these challenges, Homo habilis displayed remarkable adaptability. Their ability to use tools to process food, such as cracking open bones for marrow or cutting through tough plant materials, provided a critical edge. This ingenuity not only helped them extract more nutrients from their environment, but also laid the foundation for future advancements in human evolution. The Pleistocene epoch was marked by dramatic climatic changes, and Homo habilis had to contend with a volatile and often unforgiving environment. Periods of intense drought transformed lush grasslands into arid deserts, drastically reducing the availability of food and water. During these times, survival became a race against nature as resources dwindled and competition intensified. Floods, brought on by sudden torrential rains, posed an entirely different set of challenges. Rivers and water sources could overflow, washing away food stores and forcing groups to relocate. The instability of the environment meant that Homo habilis had no choice but to remain highly mobile, constantly moving to find safer habitats. This nomadic existence increased their exposure to predators and unfamiliar dangers. Seasonal changes also dictated their patterns of life. Certain regions became inhospitable during specific times of the year, pushing Homo habilis into territories occupied by other species or predators. These migrations were fraught with risks, but were necessary for survival. Their ability to adapt to diverse environments, from forests to savannas, was a testament to their resilience. The unpredictable climate also brought benefits in rare moments. Rain could replenish water sources and encourage the growth of vegetation, providing short-lived periods of abundance. Homo habilis likely learned to anticipate these changes, using their growing cognitive skills to track patterns in weather and resource availability. This understanding of their environment, though primitive, was crucial for long-term survival. Ultimately, the climate was both an adversary and a teacher. The challenges it presented forced Homo habilis to develop strategies for survival, from seeking higher ground during floods to migrating during droughts. These adaptations, while difficult, laid the groundwork for the advanced problem-solving skills that would define later human species. Their struggle against the elements underscores the incredible resilience that allowed them to persist in an unpredictable world. The survival of Homo habilis was not only threatened by predators, but also by competition with other early human species. They shared their environment with other hominins, such as Paranthropus and Homo erectus, who were often better adapted in terms of physical strength, intelligence, or resource acquisition. These encounters were not merely peaceful cohabitations. Instead, they were marked by intense rivalry over food, territory, and shelter. Paranthropus, known for its robust build and powerful jaw, excelled at consuming hard plant materials, which often allowed it to thrive in areas where Homo habilis struggled to find sustenance. Meanwhile, Homo erectus, a larger and more intelligent species, outpaced Homo habilis in both hunting and tool-making capabilities. These disparities placed Homo habilis at a disadvantage, forcing them to retreat from more fertile areas or adopt riskier scavenging behaviors. Competition often turned violent when resources were scarce. Fossil evidence suggests that clashes between hominin groups were not uncommon, with some bones showing signs of weapon-inflicted injuries. While outright battles may not have been frequent, the constant tension between species created an atmosphere of unease. Homo habilis was often pushed to the margins, inhabiting areas less desirable to their competitors. Despite these challenges, there were instances where overlapping territories may have fostered limited cooperation. For example, scavenging opportunities might have brought different species together temporarily, allowing them to coexist while benefiting from shared resources. However, such interactions were likely rare and short-lived, as the need to secure resources often outweighed any potential advantages of collaboration. These dynamics highlight the precarious position of Homo habilis. They were neither the strongest nor the smartest species in their environment, yet their ability to persist in the face of such competition underscores their adaptability. This period of intense rivalry shaped their survival strategies, forcing them to refine their use of tools, group dynamics, and resource management to carve out a place in a crowded and hostile world. For Homo habilis, childhood was a fleeting and perilous stage of life. The high mortality rates meant that reaching adulthood was an achievement in itself. Fossil evidence indicates that nearly 60% of individuals died before the age of 10, and those who survived faced a daily struggle to avoid starvation, injury, and predation. The brief window of childhood left little room for nurturing, with young individuals expected to contribute to group survival as soon as possible. Infants were especially vulnerable. Without the complex social structures of later hominins, caregiving was limited to the immediate family or small group. Mothers likely bore the primary responsibility for their offspring, but the harsh environment often made it difficult to provide consistent care. Malnutrition, disease, and environmental hazards claimed many lives before a child could even walk. Those who survived infancy faced the constant threat of predation. Juvenile Homo habilis were easy targets for predators due to their smaller size and lack of developed survival skills. Fossil remains of young individuals often show signs of predatory attacks, with bite marks and skeletal trauma highlighting the dangers they faced. Parents and group members would have needed to remain vigilant to protect their young, further straining their already limited resources. Learning for children came primarily through observation and participation. With little time for prolonged dependency, young Homo habilis were likely integrated into group activities as soon as they were physically capable. This early involvement in foraging, scavenging, and tool-making was essential for survival, but left little room for the kind of developmental care seen in later human societies. The brevity of childhood among Homo habilis underscores the fragility of their existence. Each surviving child represented hope for the group's future, but the odds were stacked against them. Their struggles highlight the incredible resilience required not just to live, but to carry on the species in a world that seemed determined to extinguish them. Fossil discoveries paint a vivid picture of the hardships endured by Homo habilis. These remains reveal not only how they lived, but also how they died, often under violent or tragic circumstances. For instance, some fossils show deep bite marks consistent with predator attacks, illustrating the ever-present danger of being hunted. Others reveal fractures and breaks, likely the result of falls, accidents, or encounters with other hominins. One particularly striking find involves a skull with puncture wounds matching the teeth of a large feline predator, suggesting a direct and fatal attack. Another set of remains was discovered with missing limbs, likely torn off by crocodiles during an ambush near a water source. These injuries highlight the brutal reality of their environment, where danger lurked at every turn. Evidence of wear on their teeth and bones further illuminates their daily struggles. Teeth often show extreme erosion, indicative of a diet consisting of tough, abrasive plant material and unprocessed meat. Joint damage and spinal compression found in some specimens suggest that the physical demands of foraging and scavenging took a significant toll on their bodies, even at a young age. In some cases, fossils suggest a communal aspect to their survival. Marks on bones hint at attempts to process food using primitive tools, demonstrating a shared effort to extract every possible nutrient. These behaviors, while basic, hint at the early development of social bonds and cooperative survival strategies. Fossils also serve as a record of resilience. Despite their fragile bodies and dangerous surroundings, the fact that any Homo habilis individual survived long enough to leave evidence of their existence speaks volumes. These remains offer a window into their ingenuity, determination, and adaptability in the face of overwhelming odds. While Homo habilis lacked the physical prowess of their competitors, they compensated with an emerging ingenuity that laid the foundation for human advancement. Their ability to create and use tools earned them the nickname Handyman, marking a significant evolutionary milestone. These tools, though rudimentary, represented a shift from mere survival to active problem-solving. Stone tools were among their primary innovations. Simple in design, these tools included sharp-edged flakes and cobbles used for cutting meat, cracking bones, and scraping hides. Though primitive by modern standards, these implements allowed Homo habilis to access resources that would otherwise be unattainable, such as marrow from large animal bones or the tough outer layers of certain plants. The use of tools extended beyond food preparation. Evidence suggests they may have used sticks or stones to defend themselves or ward off predators, demonstrating an ability to manipulate their environment for survival. This resourcefulness, while not sophisticated, gave them a critical edge in an unforgiving world. Social structures also played a role in their survival strategies. Living in small groups, Homo habilis likely relied on cooperation to maximize their chances of success. Group members may have worked together to forage, defend territory, and protect vulnerable individuals, such as children or the injured. This sense of collective effort hints at the early roots of human social behavior. The ingenuity of Homo habilis was not enough to secure dominance, but it set the stage for future advancements in human evolution. Their tools, however basic, marked the beginning of a journey toward technological innovation. These first steps toward mastering their environment would pave the way for the remarkable achievements of their descendants. The story of Homo habilis is one of extraordinary perseverance against staggering odds. Living between 2.4 and 1.4 million years ago, their survival depended not on dominance, but on resilience, resourcefulness, and adaptability. They occupied a precarious position in the evolutionary timeline, standing at the intersection of primitive instincts and the first sparks of innovation. Despite their small stature, fragile bodies, and vulnerability to predators, they managed to carve out an existence in one of the most hostile periods in Earth's history. What sets Homo habilis apart is their ability to endure. Their tools, though rudimentary, marked a monumental shift in human evolution, signaling the emergence of problem-solving and the capacity to manipulate the environment for survival. These simple innovations allowed them to exploit resources more effectively, granting them a fragile foothold in an unforgiving world. Their cognitive advancements, however subtle, represented the early stages of a journey that would ultimately lead to the development of complex societies and technological mastery. The challenges they faced were unparalleled, from the constant threat of predators to the relentless demands of scavenging and foraging. Homo habilis lived on the brink of survival. The climatic upheavals of the Pleistocene added yet another layer of difficulty, forcing them to adapt to ever-changing landscapes and limited resources. Yet, through sheer tenacity, they managed to persist, passing on their genetic and cultural legacy to future generations. Fossil evidence bears witness to their struggles and triumphs. The injuries they endured, the tools they crafted, and the environments they inhabited all tell a story of a species that refused to succumb despite overwhelming odds. Each fragment of bone and stone offers a glimpse into their lives, revealing not only the hardships they faced, but also their remarkable capacity to adapt and innovate. Ultimately, Homo habilis is a testament to the resilience of life itself. Though they did not dominate their world or enjoy the luxuries of modern humans, their determination ensured their survival for hundreds of thousands of years. They paved the way for the evolutionary advancements that would follow, leaving behind a legacy not defined by physical prowess, but by the unyielding drive to persist. Their story reminds us that even the most fragile of beginnings can lead to extraordinary outcomes, a humbling reflection on the roots of humanity. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring fascinating stories like that of Homo habilis, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future content. Leave a like, share it with your friends, and comment below on what caught your attention the most. Your support is essential for us to keep bringing amazing content to you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.